thanks so much for joining me today. I'm excited to have Will here with me. It's going to be a great time to connect again after last year. We had a great chat in the last event. So what do you currently have going on, and what are you up to these days?
Good question. Actually, we're pretty busy. We've been in discussion a lot with everyone's looking at digital transformation right now, and shipbuilding, especially in Canada, it's growing. It's growing fast. This year we had two biggest event in 1 year, over 700 people that were invested in the shipyard. So on the beginning of the year in May, it was Maritech in Vancouver, which was over 700 people right in front of C-SPAN. And we just finished like a month ago was the same thing, but in Quebec for Davy. Over 700 people again. So definitely a busy year for shipbuilding. A lot of trends, a lot of money invested from the government, especially on the Canadian side. We've heard that there's a program now that Davy will have, and there's more money invested in the Halifax class frigates. So that's another challenge to add, is how can we leverage the technology we have today, but to manage ships that were built yesterday.
What are some of the challenges there? Yeah, talk to me a little bit more about that, managing existing vessels with new technologies.
That's a good question. So in terms of like the existing vessels, so the information's everywhere. So that's really the problem that we're seeing, and what the customer are telling us from either commercial side or government side is that in order to come to a docking work period, there's a lot of options for them. So they can either do the scan, so scan to BIM, so shipbuilding we can call it scan to MIM, which is Marine Information Model, but this comes with challenge, because if you want to scan an entire ship, you got too much data to be able to feed to a system like ShipConstructor, for example. If you're focused on a specific thing, so if you want to be able to redo a piping spool or a specific thing in a specific compartment, then you run it and you have really accurate data that can be used in ShipConstructor and be pushed to like configuration management software like a PLM to be able to really work through the rest of the life cycle of the ship. So that's one of the big challenges that they're facing, is how can we leverage technology? And now there's 3D scan, but there's also pictures of like 360 pictures, which if you want to see an entire compartment and see everything, we realized in the last few years that it's more feasible than an actual scan. To be able to just see the picture, that's what you need. If you want to do a specific engineering task, go with the scan. And the management of the data there, it's a challenge, but when you're able to have the right tools for the right tasks, that's when you benefit, and that's when you're able to really take those older ships and bring it to the digital era.
Are you seeing the shipyards you work with kind of evolve in terms of their digital maturity or sophistication?
Tools are evolving. And when you have multiple systems, and what we see is that there's a lot of shipyard that see that the software they have in the process that they have with the culture they have don't match. So they're looking for another tool. And when you do that, you redo the implementation, so you adapt it to the process you have today and the culture that you have today. So is it really the software, or it's more the implementation that gives you the advantage? So there's a lot of shipyards that did that, and they gave some, it allowed them to get advantage of it. However, when you don't have a system of system, you're creating a faster and more efficient silo. And I think Dennis Moray, the CEO of SSI, said once, and it didn't come from him, but it came from someone else, and I really like that quote. It was, when you don't do digital transformation right, you have a caterpillar and it's a really fast caterpillar. But if you do a really good digital transformation through process, people, and technology with the culture in mind, then you get your butterfly. But the digital transformation is getting to the butterfly. It's not just automating tasks, which is, I think, somewhere where the shipyards they have challenges there to be able to really think outside of the box and really see that it's not automating simple tasks, is really changing the way they build ship, leveraging technology.
I think if you surveyed 100 shipbuilders, they would all say, yeah, we build ships, but we build it completely differently from shipyard B, from shipyard C. They think they consider themselves to be very unique. Do you find this challenge? And if you do, how do you work with that reality?
I think every shipyard are unique, and especially when you look at different sizes of shipyard. You've got like a lot of shipyard that started from a mom and pop kind of business and grew through the years. And then there's the next generation arriving, and then there's a culture of innovation coming up. And when you're thinking of the bigger ones, they want to do, to your point, something different. And is it really all different? It's a good question, because they're not doing all the same thing. They're, for example, not working through the same design house, not working through the same software, not in terms of acquisition, like not having same, like a shipyard could buy another shipyard, but a shipyard could buy a fleet, a ship. In Canada, you think of like Group Ocean that has a fleet of ship and a shipyard, but you like Davy that just bought Helsinki in Finland. So there's different ways of doing things, and I think to your point, they're all different, but something happening in the States, and I think I even mentioned it last year when we were talking, is the NSRP programs, which is bringing all of them together to have a discussion, because there's, with the government programs happening in Canada and in the States, where I'm focused, I don't know elsewhere, there's work to go for everyone, for every software supplier, for every design house, for every shipyard. So I think collaboration there is really the key. So,
with all this work going around, what is InnovMarine's role? How do you fit into this reality?
That's a really good question. We've, as you know, we've been starting as ShipConstructor reseller for Canada, and we really being able to better understand the need. What we've been doing is finding tools from outside North America that can fit some of the needs. So when we really are need focused with our customer, we're try to solve problems that they have by finding tools out there and putting some process together. And last year we do a lot of work with Babcock Canada through the submarines program. Like we were mentioning about like existing assets. Those are assets that were bought from the UK a few years ago, years ago, and they challenge us to have like a digital surveying software to allow all that data to be captured first in a standardized way, but being able to have it accessible to everyone, for someone in the ship, for different suppliers, different surveyors, and being able to leverage that data for future, past, or even insurance, and all those things all have like a database. So we've been able to create that software for them, and now we're currently going to market with the tool. But I think that's where we fit in the industry, is that we listen, we'll provide solution, and if it's not there, we see if it's worth it to build it for them, which is not always the case.
Anything interesting on the horizon for next year that you're focusing on?
Like I mentioned, the shipbuilding industry in North America is booming. We've got, I think InnovMarine's got a pretty strong portfolio right now, starting from the engineering with ShipConstructor, and there's definitely some great opportunities and some great way to bring a configuration management solution like the shipbuilding PLM to the industry. And there's also, like I mentioned, other tools that we have part of our portfolio that, depending on the size of the yard or the need of the yard, can match some of those requirements. But I think it's following the programs, collaborating with the other suppliers as well as the shipbuilders and ship owners. And yeah, I think it's following the trends and being able to to match the need of the government. And we've got, with all the geopolitical challenges that we have right now, I think it's more important than ever to work together and being able to see the big picture of there's challenges in the world that we need to be ready for. We need to have the ships, and we need to have the process, the software, the integration. We need to be more efficient in order to match those geopolitical challenges as well as the environment challenges. So it's following them, following the regulation, and being able to adapt, I think, is key.
You mentioned the trends. What are some of those trends you're looking at and hoping to work with?
One of the trends I'm the most interested in the past few years is the whole digital twin. Everyone talks about digital twin. Everyone has a different vision of a digital twin. And something I mentioned earlier is that for me in my head, and I think it's the same for a lot of people out there, is a digital twin is a 3D model that you can leverage for a lot of different reasons. But does it really need to be a 3D model? Can it be pictures? Can it be, how can that digital twin evolve through the need of different people, of different size, different yard, different people in the industry? I think that's a trend that I found the most interesting, is how can the digital twin trend adapt to different people? And I've saw concrete example this year of how it can be applied differently and bring some value to everyone.
Are you able to elaborate on that? What did they do differently, this whoever you were working with?
Yeah, that's a good question. So previously we've worked a lot with ShipConstructor, the 3D model, shipbuilding PLM, being able to work through that 3D model. And for the shipyards, we're talking about like Austal, like Seaspan, all those bigger yards, that tool is perfect because everything starts from that 3D model, and you're able to manage configuration through the build, design, maintaining phase through the 3D model. But when you look at smaller shipyard, that they do a lot of repair work, they still need that digital twin, but they don't need to be, they can't model everything in 3D. It's just not realistic for them. So a tool that we did, we went in France in a trade mission with the Davy Association supplier, is a tool called QuickBrain, which is used on the French Navy, and it's 360 views of a compartment, and you have tags on every equipment, and the equipment, you can manage the maintenance and operation of that equipment, and being able to kind of have, so it brings you a digital twin, but based on like the 2D model. So you have the GA of the plan, you have heat maps that bring you to that 360 view. And for them, they don't need to go into details. If you think of like bigger yards, a shipyard needs detailed design. Detailed design is 60% of the design. So that's where ShipConstructor and shipbuilding PLM is key. But when you look at just equipment maintenance and being able to do change management through the life cycle of only equipments, then I think there's other tools out there that can definitely do the job for them.
Yeah, as we all know, shipbuilding is a very complex industry, and there's never going to be one solution to rule them all. So this is a good example of that.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Will. I think that's all the time we have for today. But I really appreciate you sitting down with me again this year, and hope to see you again next year.
Yeah, will do. Thank you very much, Greg, and thank you for listening.